Do you ever wonder what happened to Jesse Butya back in 1503? This guy was the most feared man in all of Italia, military commander, a duke, and according to Machiavelli, the perfect example of a prince. But by 1507, he was dead, left in a ditch, betrayed by people he thought he could trust. And here's the kicker: those betrayals never come with a warning. They smile, shake your hand, and wait for the perfect moment to stab you in the back. Welcome to the real world, where perception often kills faster than reality. Today, I want to take you inside the true mind of Machiavelli, not the watered-down version you learned in school, but the raw, unfiltered blueprint that has shaped history's most powerful players for over 500 years. By the end of this video, you'll never look at power the same way again. Wherever you go, you'll spot the dynamics playing out in every room, and no one will be able to blindside you. Let me start with a story about a guy named Michael. He was brilliant, a Harvard grad, and a rising star at his firm. Everyone liked him, the kind of person who seemed destined for success. Then one day, during a team meeting, he made one simple mistake. He admitted he was struggling on a project. "I could really use some help," he said. 2 months later, Michael was out. His colleague Sarah, the same one who had been so supportive, was quietly telling executives that Michael couldn't handle the pressure. He wasn't broken, but he looked breakable. And guess what? That's all it took. Machiavelli didn't survive by being the strongest person in the room. He survived by appearing untouchable. That is the first and perhaps most important rule of power. Never show weakness to the wolves. Even if you're dying inside, make them believe you're ready to fight. People don't attack you because you are weak. They attack you because you look weak. When I was 27, my first business was collapsing. Investors were pulling out, partners were panicking, and I had exactly $347 in my bank account. But every morning, I still put on my best suit, walked into meetings with unshakable confidence, and spoke about our future like success was already guaranteed. One investor later told me, "I almost pulled out completely, but then I saw how confident you were, even when everything was burning down." That's when I decided to double down. Perception creates reality. Everyone sees what you show them. Few ever experience what you're actually feeling inside. And this isn't just some philosophical idea. Machiavelli throughout it was tactical advice. When you're broken, you must master the image of strength. Here's what that looks like in practice. No public struggles, no crying on social media, no complaining to people who don't need to hear it. Suffer in silence, because every time you show weakness, someone out there is watching and making a calculation. Let me pause here and ask you, who's the most powerful person in the room? It's rarely the person talking the most. During World War II, at Allied conferences, Stalin's behavior unnerved American diplomats. While Churchill was making stirring speeches and Roosevelt was charming everyone, Stalin sat quietly, observing. He spoke little, but when he did, everyone listened. By the end of these meetings, he often got exactly what he wanted. The more you talk, the more you give away to your enemies. If no one knows what you're thinking, they fear what you might do. Unpredictability is power. Silence is strategy. Think about the last argument you had. Who lost control first? Who started explaining themselves, justifying, defending? That person lost long before the argument ended. Next time you're challenged, try this. Pause for 3 seconds before responding. Lower your voice instead of raising it. Ask a question instead of making a statement. Let that uncomfortable silence hang in the air. You'll see the power dynamic shift instantly. This is not about being cold or uncaring. It's about staying centered. Strip emotion from your Emotional people are easy to trap. They make impulsive moves, beg for forgiveness, and regret actions later. Your goal: replace the question, "How do I feel?" with "What does this achieve?" One more thing Machiavelli is famous for is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both. Everyone quotes that line, but few really grasp what it means. Julius Caesar was stabbed 23 times, but the deepest wound came from Brutus, the friend he trusted most. Caesar's last words weren't about pain or betrayal. They were words of recognition. "You too, my child." In that moment, Caesar understood what Machiavelli would later write about loyalty. Loyalty is a beautiful word until you realize it's used to control you. Loyalty is rarely pure, it's transactional. People are loyal to their own interests, not to you. The moment your value drops, their loyalty disappears. Look at any corporate restructuring. The same colleagues sharing drinks on Friday are updating resumes Saturday, ready to take your job Monday. Look at fallen celebrities. Their entourage disappears as soon as the spotlight dims. If you want to be untouchable, erase the illusion that loyalty will protect you. It won't. Power protects you. Stop building emotional bonds. Start building leverage. Leverage is what keeps people in line. If people only respect you because they like you, they'll betray you the moment they don't. But if they respect you because they need you, or because crossing you has consequences, they'll stay loyal even if they hate your guts. That's a hard truth. Most want to deny it, but power shapes behavior. So, how exactly do you build this kind of untouchable power? Let's break it down step by step. First, you need to make yourself indispensable. Be the only person who can solve certain problems. When no one else can do what you do, you become invaluable. People may not like it, but they have to keep you around. Second, control the resources others need, whether that's information, connections, opportunities, or money. Whoever controls the flow has the leverage. You don't need to hold all the cards, just the right ones. Third, build a reputation that makes people think twice before crossing you. Reputation is like a shadow following you everywhere. If it's strong enough, it can protect you without you saying a word. This reputation doesn't have to be about threats or violence. It can be about reliability, ruthlessness, intelligence, or influence. Fourth, never reveal how much you need anyone. Desperation is like blood in the water. If others see that you need them more than they need you, you've lost the upper hand. The moment they sense dependence, you become vulnerable. Let me share a personal story here. I once had a business, the partner who tried to push me out of the company we built. While he was busy plotting, I quietly built relationships with our 3 biggest clients. When he made his move, I just let those clients know I might be starting something new soon. Within 48 hours, it was him who got asked to leave. I didn't threaten anyone or argue why, simply activated leverage. When people betray you, your first instinct is to react immediately, show them they hurt you, make them pay. But that's exactly what your enemies want. They want you to lose. You're cool because once you start feeling, you stop thinking. Look back at history for a moment. In 1929, during Chicago's gang wars, 7 men from Bugs Moran's gang were lined up against a wall and shot down by Al Capone's men. The St. Valentine's Day massacre shocked the city. But here's the thing: Capone wasn't even in Chicago that day. He was in Florida, building a public alibi while his carefully selected team carried out his plan months after the original offense. Capone didn't react, he responded. His response was calculated, timed, and devastating. Hesitation is a luxury. The powerful cannot afford. Impulse is exactly the weapon your enemies want you to use. Machiavelli understood this long before psychology even had terms for it. He didn't romanticize revenge, he strategized it. When someone moves against you, here's what you do. Act unfazed, maybe even appreciative. Gather information while they think you're oblivious. Identify their vulnerabilities and dependencies. Wait for the perfect moment when they feel safe. Then move decisively with no emotion, no drama, just results. Your enemy must never know how much they affected you. If they think they've shaken you, they've already won. But if you hit back with calm precision and don't flinch, you start to make them doubt their own power. And that doubt, that's your real weapon. The most dangerous person in the room isn't usually the one shouting the loudest or standing in the spotlight. It's the one quietly observing, controlling the room without saying a word. Take a look at J. Edgar Hoover, who held iron control over American politics for decades without ever holding elected office. Presidents came and went, but Hoover remained untouchable. How? He collected secrets. He built files. He knew things about powerful people that they didn't want revealed. He rarely had to threaten anyone outright. His power was implied, atmospheric. Everyone knew crossing him came at a cost, so they didn't. Visibility invites envy. Attention invites sabotage. But influence without exposure, that's invincibility. Your strength should never be on display. It should be suspected, whispered about, never confirmed. The key to ultimate power is control without credit. Let others wear the crown while you own the kingdom. Let them fight for the applause and titles while you quietly steer outcomes. This is how you stay undefeated, by being everywhere and nowhere at once. Here are 5 ways to master this. Build a reputation as someone who makes things happen behind the scenes. Let others be the face while you remain The architect. Cultivate relationships with influential people who trust your judgment. Feed other people's egos and let them think they're leading. Shape the path while making others feel it was their idea. When you're invisible, you become unpredictable. And when you're unpredictable, you become unstoppable. Remember, silence is your weapon. Mystery is your shield. Everything I've shared comes back to this truth. In a world where most people act out of emotion, the strategist always wins. The untouchable don't just survive. They thrive because they see what others refuse to see. Now, let's dig deeper into what it really means to be untouchable. I'm not just talking about power. I'm talking about a state of mind, a way of carrying yourself that says, you can try, but you won't break me. This is the essence of surviving, thriving, and winning in any situation where power is on the line. First, understand this. Loyalty is not what you think it is. It's not some pure, noble emotion. It's transactional, practical, survival-based. People don't stay loyal out of love, they stay because it benefits them. The moment your value drops, their loyalty disappears. That's why so many careers, friendships, and alliances fall apart the moment things get tough. Look at corporate shakeups. The colleagues who drink beer with you on Friday, by Saturday, many are updating resumes, eyeing your position. Look at celebrities who fall from grace. Those entourages vanish when the spotlight dims. If you want to be truly untouchable, you have to erase the illusion that loyalty protects you. It doesn't, power does. You have to stop building emotional bonds and start building leverage. Leverage is the highest form of security. Now, what is leverage? It's the reason someone respects you even if they don't like you. It's when they stay in line because they need you or fear the consequences of crossing you. That's the harsh but unshakable truth about power. It drives behavior. So, how do you build that leverage? First, make yourself indispensable. Be the only person who can solve certain key problems or bring unique value no one else can match. Second, control the resources that others need to succeed. This could be information, connections, money, or opportunities. Whoever holds the keys holds the power. Third, build a reputation that makes people hesitate before crossing you. It's not about being ruthless in obvious ways. It's about reliability, effectiveness, influencer, reputation that precedes you and protects you. Fourth, never let anyone see how much you need them. Desperation is a weakness that invites attacks. The people with power never show it. A quick personal story. I had a business partner once who tried to push me out of a company we built together. While he plotted behind my back, I quietly built stronger bonds with our 3 biggest clients. When he made his move, I just told those clients I might be starting a new venture soon. Within 2 days, he was the one asked to leave. No threats, no drama, just leverage quietly activated. When betrayal hits, your instinct is usually to react emotionally, to show pain, to lash out, to make them pay. But that's exactly what your enemies want. They want to throw you off balance, so you stop thinking straight. Look at history again. The 1929 St. Valentine's Day Massacre was a brutal gang execution in Chicago. 8 men from Bugs Moran's gang were gunned down. But what's often forgotten is that Al Capone himself wasn't even in Chicago that day. He was in Florida, creating a public alibi while his team carefully executed the attack months after. A prior offense, Capone didn't react in panic. He responded with cold precision. His move was timed perfectly and devastating. The powerful don't waste time hesitating. They don't give in to impulse, because impulse is a weapon for your enemies. Machiavelli saw this clearly centuries ago. Revenge is not about emotion, it's about strategy. When someone moves against you, here's the strategy to follow. Stay unfazed, even act appreciative if it throws them off. Gather information while they believe you're clueless. Identify their weaknesses and what they depend on. Wait for the moment they feel most secure and safe. Then strike calmly, decisively, without drama or emotion. Never let your enemy see you shake. If they think they've rattled you, they've already won. But if you respond with composed precision, they'll start doubting the strength they thought they held. Their doubt then becomes your most deadly weapon. The person who controls the room isn't always the one yelling the loudest. It's often the one quietly watching, pulling strings without a word. Take J. Edgar Hoover, for example. Though never elected, he controlled American politics for decades. Presidents came and went, but Hoover stayed untouchable because he controlled secret information about powerful figures. He never needed to threaten anyone openly. Everyone knew crossing him would cost them dearly. Visibility is dangerous. It invites envy and sabotage. Influence without being exposed. That's true invincibility. Your power should never be on display. Instead, it should be a whisper in the dark. A shadow people fear but never see clearly. The key to ultimate power is controlling outcomes without taking credit. Let others wear the crown and fight for the applause, while you quietly direct the show behind the scenes. This is how you remain undefeated, by being everywhere and nowhere all at once. Master these 5 moves. Build a reputation for making things happen behind the curtain. Let others be the face while you stay the architect. Build relationships with influential people who trust your judgment. Feed people's egos and let them believe they're in charge. Shape the path while letting others think it was their idea. When you master invisibility and unpredictability, you become unstoppable. Let's dig a bit further into what it means to wield true power quietly. Silence is your hidden weapon. Mystery is your unbreakable shield. In a world where most people operate based on emotion, reacting impulsively, or wearing their hearts on their sleeves, the strategist always comes out ahead. The untouchable don't just survive, they thrive because they understand things others refuse to see. Here are the 5 fundamental principles that Machiavelli laid bare, which separate winners from the rest. Perception creates reality. How others see you shapes what's possible. So, control that image every chance you get. What you appear to be is often more important than what you really are. Silence creates power. Talk less, observe more. Saying less makes you harder to read, and your moves unpredictable. Loyalty is transactional. Build leverage, not blind trust. Understand that relationships are business deals in disguise, and maintain your value constantly. Reaction is weakness. Response is strength. Don't react emotionally. Respond strategically. Calm moves force your opponents to rethink their power. Visibility is vulnerability. Control from the shadows. The spotlight exposes you to envy and attacks, but working behind the scenes lets you build influence without enemies seeing your hand. I want to close this out with a story that brings this all full circle. You remember the investor who doubled down on my failing business. 3 years later, we sold that company for 8 figures. At the celebration dinner, he pulled me aside and said, "I never invested in your business. I invested in you, in how you carried yourself when everything was falling apart." That moment confirmed something powerful. Being untouchable isn't about having the most weapons, money, or fame. It's about what you show when others try to tear you down. The one who can smile when threatened. The one who walks away when tempted. The one who rises even when crushed. That's the real definition of power. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was teaching survival in a world that was already a battlefield. And now, you know the blueprint for how to be untouchable. Now, let's bring this all together, the ultimate lesson from Machiavelli that's been guiding the most powerful figures in history for hundreds of years. The most powerful person in any room isn't the one with the most weapons, the deepest pockets, or the loudest voice. Look closer. It's the one who stays calm when chaos hits, the one who smiles when threatened, the one who walks away when tempted, and most importantly, the one who rises every time they get crushed. Being untouchable isn't about being heartless or cruel. It's about survival in a world that's already ruthless, a world where showing weakness is the fastest way to be broken. This is what it means to truly own your power. Master your image, even when everything inside you feels broken. Never show your pain to the wolves. Stay silent, observe, and let others reveal their weaknesses for you. Build leverage, not loyalty, because loyalty is fleeting. Control resources, information, and relationships quietly behind the scenes. Respond, not react. Attacked, moving with calm, calculated precision. Own the shadows, never the spotlight. When you do this, you create an armor that no one can pierce, an aura of strength that makes people hesitate before crossing you. You become the person who is everywhere and nowhere, always in control, yet never exposing your hand. That investor story from earlier says it all. He didn't invest in my business. He invested in me, in how I carried myself when everything was falling apart. That's the true currency of power, rights. How you stand up and show strength when everyone else expects you to fall. Machiavelli's final lesson wasn't about teaching cruelty or manipulation, it was about teaching survival. In a harsh world, It's not the loudest or flashiest who win. It's the calm, the calculated, the untouchable dot. So now that you know this blueprint, ask yourself, how will you carry yourself next time the pressure hits? What image will you project? Will you show weakness or wear your armor? Because remember, the moment you stop caring about what can break you and start mastering your perception, you become untouchable. And that changes everything.